Miles Mikolas struggles as the Cardinals fall on opening day to the Dodgers. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X at JD Sports Radio. You can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. I want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us on YouTube. If you haven't done that yet, please stop on by, like, subscribe if you are enjoying what you're seeing and hearing. Make sure you comment so you can interact with us. Hit the notification button so you know when new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. So the St. Louis Cardinals began their 2024 season today in LA in front of a sellout crowd of 52,667 people and got pummeled by the Dodgers by the score of 7-1. It was a day dominated by good pitching and bad pitching. On the one side of the spectrum, you had Tyler Glasnow for the Dodgers. And on the other side, you had Miles Mikolas for the Cardinals. And clearly by the score, final was 7-1, you should know which side each one of them fell on when it comes to the good-bad spectrum. Now, I don't want to be overly harsh on Miles, because it wasn't all bad for him today. But let's go ahead and start in our own house and talk about Mr. Mikolas. I know we all want to move on from the 2023 season and how disastrous it was and everything that happened in it. The way to do that is not look like you did last year. You want us to forget about 2023 and move on, then be better than you were in 2023. And my first impression today was that Miles Mikolas looked a whole lot like the guy from last year. Like that's what I took away from it in the early portion of that game. He looked a lot like he did last year, specifically against the top three guys in the Dodgers order. Now, granted, those top three guys, pretty darn good, right? Three of the best hitters on planet Earth, if not in the universe, okay? Mookie Betts leading off, Shohei Ohtani bats second, Freddie Freeman bats third, okay? I know. They're very, very good. Struggling to get those guys out is not something to be ashamed of. You know, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that 99% of the pitchers that face the Dodgers lineup this year will struggle with that trio at the top of the order, all right? So it's not that Miles Mikolas is a bad pitcher. Those guys are really good. The concerning part about what happened in today's game is how things unfolded with them and how it reminded me of the crap we went through last year. Things got off to a rocky start for Miles from the get-go when he walks the leadoff hitter after a 7-pitch at bat. And Miles doesn't walk people very often. We know that. One of the best in the business when it comes to not giving free passes. And the real bummer of the at-bat was that he was up in the count 1-2 before Mookie battled back and ended up drawing the walk. So keep that in mind. He was up in the count 1-2. In steps Shohei Ohtani. Standing ovation. Dodgers fans have been waiting to see him in person for a while. And he goes up 0-2 on Shohei Ohtani before Ohtani doubles down the line and right. Which, by the way, it was a good pitch. It was actually just a really good piece of hitting. It was a changeup. It was low, way on the corner, and Shohei just hooked it down into the corner, yanked it down the line there. So good piece of hitting by one of the best in baseball. Then it's Freeman. Falls behind him 3-1, but ends up getting it back to a full count before he singles up the middle on a ground ball that got past the infield, who was playing in, which made it 1-0. Now, why is the infield in there? I'm not totally sure. Okay. Would Gorman have gotten the grounder if he was back in his normal position? Run would have scored, but it probably would have gotten it out. maybe not. It was one of those seeing ground balls that just kind of found that little spot up the middle, and it was able to get through. It was hit under 90 miles per hour as far as velo off the bat from Freeman, and just kind of trickled its way through. And you can see the frustration on Mikolas when it happened. He just kind of hung his head, like put his hands on his knees, like, oh my gosh, that's getting through. But it did. Next hitter is Will Smith. Mikolas goes up 0-2. Keep that in mind again. 0-2. Before a slider over the plate gets smacked into center for a single. So the first 4 hitters of the game, Mikolas has 2 strikes on all of them, is ahead in the count on 3 of them. And all 4 of them reach base still. Remember last year, the Cardinals pitching staff got murdered by 2 strike hits. Drove everybody nuts. And that's exactly what happened in the first inning again today. The next guy up is Max Muncy. He goes up 0-1 on Muncy before hitting a sac fly, makes it 2-0. The pitch to Ohtani, like I said, was a good one. The pitch to Freeman, down in the zone, but it was over the middle of the plate. Can't live there. The pitch to Will Smith, over the heart of the plate. And Miles just doesn't have the velo or the movement to get the ball past hitters and miss over the heart of the plate. He just doesn't have that kind of stuff. He lives on the corners. He lives on the borders. He lives on the black. That's his game. He knows that. He can't do what he did in that first inning and survive against a lineup of this caliber. It's just not going to work. Mikolas was great against the rest of the Dodgers order. Give him credit. But when he faced those top 3 again in the 3rd inning, his first pitch up in the zone to Mookie, boom, rips it over the wall in left field, solo shot. It's now 3-1. He gets, it's 3-0. He gets squeezed on a 3-1 call against Ohtani, which leads to his second walk, and then hangs the first pitch to Freddie Freeman, who deposits a 2-run shot over the wall, makes it 5-0. There you go. Mikolas would last until 1 out in the 5th inning when he got yanked after giving up another single to Ohtani. Final line for Miles today, 4 1/3 innings, 5 runs, 7 hits, 2 home runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. The top 3 go 5 for 6 against him. They score 5 times. They drive in 4. Outside of that, Mikolas was really good against the other parts of the order. I don't want to just focus on the negatives here. Again, these guys are some of the best on the planet at the game of baseball, at hitting a baseball. And there were multiple pitches that Mikolas threw that were like just dots, and they were just a fraction off the plate. And I said it out loud multiple times. Like, I can't believe they're not swinging at some of these. Like, how do you not swing at that? The Dodgers just weren't biting on him. They were waiting until he came into the zone and then lighting him up when he did. At least the top 3 guys were. And even if Miles, let's say he goes out there and holds them to less runs, holds them to like 2 or 3 runs instead, it's still hard to win a baseball game when your offense doesn't show up. And up next, we're going to discuss Goldi's big day. He was there. He looked good. But the disappearing act of the other sluggers in the lineup, we'll get into that next on Locked On Cardinals. Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, which is great for anybody who hasn't bought tickets already and you're playing that waiting game. You're like, all right, keep on falling, then boom, you buy your tickets. Killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and they've got their lowest price guaranteed. Gametime just takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. They're perfect for you. Like I said, those last-minute deals are key. You can save up to 60% off by buying last-minute tickets for, Major League Baseball or NHL hockey, Blues in action tonight, concerts, comedy, theater. They got you covered on all of this stuff. The all-in pricing, toggling this feature shows the total up front so that there's no surprise fees at checkout. You've all been there before. You went to buy tickets to some event and you were like, ooh, cool, those look cheap. And then you get to the final checkout and they're like, why is everything tripled? Because they throw on all these extra fees. Don't have to worry about that with Gametime. They're going to be upfront about you on what your price is going to do. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime for a limited time. All users can get $20 off any MLB purchase of $150 or more in the Gametime app with code FIRSTPITCH. Terms apply. That's code FIRSTPITCH, FIRSTPITCH, for $20 off until April 14th only. So make sure you use that. Again, First Pitch, $20 off until April 14th. Download the Gametime app. Do it today. Do it now. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and have to turn that volume down because all of the shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. No shouting. We don't do that. It's a free 24/7. Well, sometimes I do it when I get upset about things that go really, really bad for the Cardinals, but not very often. But it's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel, and it's programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all of the screaming. Locked On Sports today will hook you up with all the can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And again, thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. You can leave your comments on YouTube. You can send them to me on Twitter X. We had a lot of people watching the game, chit-chatting today on Twitter X with me. And, it's like we're all sitting around at the ball game together, just kind of chit-chatting about how things went. And for the most part today, it wasn't a great day for anything that had to do with the St. Louis Cardinals. Paul Goldschmidt, horrendous spring, right? The guy looked like he was just completely lost at the plate pretty much the entire spring. And the last game against the Cubs, he had that double and he hit it off the wall over Bellinger's head. And remember I said, I was like, I hope that's one. He ended on a good one. I hope that carries over into the regular season. And it appears that this worked because Paul Goldschmidt looked good today. He looked real good, especially compared to the way the rest of the Cardinals offense looked. He was 3 for 4, included a solo shot against Dodgers starter Tyler Glasnow in the 4th inning. And it wasn't like some bad pitch that Tyler left like up in the zone or right over the heart of the plate or anything like that. It was a 3-1 fastball. It was in the bottom of the zone, like right at the very bottom, right bottom frame of the strike zone. And Goldi just ripped it. He just ripped it. 401 feet, 101.8 velo off the bat. And at the time when he hit this, made the score 5-1 and gave the Cardinals, a little glimmer of hope that maybe they can turn things around. I'm still early in the game, but just wasn't meant to be today. The rest of the offense did diddly poo, man. They were not good. 0 for 27. If your name wasn't Paul Goldschmidt, you didn't get a hit today. That's right. Not a single hitter other than Goldi got a hit today. 0 for 27. In fact, a Cardinals hitter didn't even make it to third base today. Didn't get past second, except for Goldi when he circled the bases on his home run. Nobody made it to third. That's not good. That's a problem. Not great, Bob. To say the team was dominated by the Dodgers pitching staff today is an understatement. They look terrible, other than Goldi. The only two players to even reach base besides Paul Goldschmidt. Victor Scott II, who reached on an error by shortstop Mookie Betts, who rushed his throw when he realized who it was that was running down that first baseline. Tried to get the speedster at first and threw the ball into the dirt. Freeman couldn't pick it. Ended up being an error. And then Wilson Contreras, who walked in the 4th inning. That was it. That was it. Nobody else except for Goldi. And then those two. A lot of pop-outs, a lot of fly-outs. They struck out 6 times. Just a fugly day at the plate. And again, it's not like they went up against some scrub pitcher that isn't good. Tyler Glasnow is really, really good. Games like this happen a lot against him. It's one of the reasons why he was a guy that the Cardinals checked in on, according to reports, when the Rays were shopping him this offseason. It's one of the reasons why when we had an idea that Tampa Bay was going to trade him, that we talked a lot about him this offseason, where he's a difference maker when he's healthy. When he's healthy and he's out there, he's one of the best in the league. And today, that breaking ball was like dropping off of a table. Like, it was so good today. The dude was he was locked in. He was locked in. And when Tyler Glasnow was on, you're not going to do much against him normally. He goes 6 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, 1 home run. He walks, 5 strikeouts. And that was one of the things. Early first inning, great at bats. Brendan Donovan, nice long at bat. Goldschmidt, nice long at bat. Gorman wasn't so bad. They almost made him throw. It was like almost 30 pitches in that first inning. And then the next 2 innings, he throws 20 total. Like they just started going, like, I don't know if he changed up his philosophy and was throwing more strikes first, or our guys were just swinging at crap. But it didn't work. First inning, great plan. After that, not a great plan. Ollie talked about the offense after the game today, said the offense will come together. Today wasn't the day for it. Glasnow did a really nice job. They've got some good starters. They've got some good guys in the pen. It's going to be a dogfight. The Dodgers only needed 2 pitchers, so when I say that they got dominated by the staff, really it was just 2 guys to beat the Redbirds today. The other one was left-handed reliever Ryan Yarbrough, who threw 3 shutout innings. He allows just 1 hit, strikes out 1 to pick up his first save of the season. And I was watching the Dodgers broadcast today because I always like to hear what the other guys are saying about the Cardinals, because I know what our guys are going to sound like. I know what Brad Thompson's going to say. I know what they're going to be like. But sometimes I like to hear what the other guys are thinking about the Cardinals team. And so I listened to that today, and they were kind of pointing out how difficult it was to go from Tyler Glasnow, who comes from right over the top, to a Ryan Yarbrough, who's left-handed and comes from over here like a 3/4 side angle instead, and how much more difficult that is to go from one extreme to the other. And he was right. They were both right. It was Oral Hershiser, and I don't know who the other guy is, but it was Oral Hershiser talking about it, and I'm like, yeah, makes a lot of sense. The only other moment of excitement for the Cardinals offense today, at least for me, was when Victor Scott reached on that Mookie Betts error and then stole second base. And you guys, unless you were wide, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. John Denton posted some StatCast metrics on the play, said Scott had a 12-foot lead off first base, sprint speed 29.6 feet per second, went from first to second in 3.8 seconds. I mean, that is so fast. And the Dodgers announcers were like, wow, that is something, dude. They were just raving about how quick he was. He becomes the first Cardinal rookie since 1900 to steal his first career base on his first try in his Major League Baseball debut on opening day. A lot of variables there, but that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. We know the Cardinals rotation is going to give up plenty of hits. We know that. Plenty of runs probably too, between Mikolas, Kyle Gibson, and Lance Lynn. That's kind of who they are right now at this point of their careers. You saw it last year. A lot of hits given up by those 3 guys. And to combat that, the Cardinals offense is going to have to try and keep up if this whole idea of this kind of roster is going to work. And today, it did not work. They were not able to keep up whatsoever. The Cardinals ended up using 3 pitchers out of the bullpen today, which included a shaky Cardinal debut for one of them, one of these new arms that they picked up in the offseason. We'll talk about it next on Locked On Cardinals. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with NBA, NHL, and college basketball entries today on PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you just watch those winnings roll on in. Now, I told you yesterday, I was looking at the matchups with Miles Mikolas going up against this Dodgers offense. 3.5 strikeout bet was available, and I told you to take the under, and shame on me. I was wrong. Miles Mikolas strikes out 5 today, 5 punchies, which surprised myself and a lot of people. I didn't expect that. But he also had the hits allowed line at 5.5, and that one cashed in. So hopefully you took advantage of that. PrizePicks, very simple to play. If you haven't done it before, you can make your picks, submit your entries, and do it all in less than 60 seconds. And if you win, quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types. And that's what makes PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's the app. You go find it, PrizePicks. It's in purple. I got it on my phone. You should have it on yours. Get it? Use the code LOCKEDONMLB. First deposit match up to $100. So if you put $25 in, they're going to add $25 to that, and you'll have $50 instead. That's how that works. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows, which cover every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Innings eaters was the target this offseason. Remember, they're like, hey, Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn, yeah, they might give up a lot of hits and give up a lot of runs, but they eat a lot of innings. They do. And that going along with what Miles Mikolas had done last year, the Cardinals were feeling good. They're like, these are our innings eaters. We'll have them so our bullpen doesn't get burned out like last year. And today, Miles Mikolas failed to meet the amount that we were hoping for. 6 innings is what we're normally shooting for. Lasted just 4 1/3 today, which means the pen had to do some work today. It was already 5-1 when Ali actually went to the bullpen, called on Andre Palante first with Shohei on first after he had singled and 1 out. And Palante came out humming, man. I loved what I saw today. Struck out Freddie Freeman, gets Will Smith to fly out to center. Very impressive coming into that situation. The Dodgers ended up tagging him for running the next inning. Teoscar Hernandez got a double off them, and then there was a single that just got past Goldi over at first base by James Outman. RBI single, but for the most part, I liked what I saw from Palante. He looked good in the spring. He looked good today. No complaints there. Ended up getting 4 of the 5 left-handed hitters that he faced out, which is what he's really good at. He's a right-hander who can get left-handed hitters out. That's his MO. And he took care of business today for the most part. He struck out Freeman, struck out Max Muncy, 1 run, 2 hits, 2 punchies in an inning and 2/3. Not bad. I'm okay with that from Palante. Riley O'Brien. All right, Riley O'Brien comes into this game, made his Cardinals debut today. And boy, oh boy, did he look nervous, right? He comes out, first pitch is a ball, and then the next 2, it looks like he's trying to throw breaking balls. They just spin out of his hand and almost take Mookie Betts' head off. Back-to-back pitches like that. Crowd starts getting in there. They're like, whoa, what's going on? Cameras are panning over to the Dodgers dugout to see if they're getting worked up. They're not. You can tell that it was breaking balls, and Riley O'Brien is not headhunting for Mookie Betts. But the crowd's getting into it and ends up walking Mookie to start the 7th inning. And then he falls behind Ohtani. Another pitch, which really actually wasn't that bad of a pitch. I mean, Ohtani's hands are right there by the inside portion of the plate. You got to back him off. You can't let him own the plate like that. He wasn't trying to back him off. It was a breaking ball that went in on him and almost got him. But smartly, Dusty Blake and Wilson Contreras come running out. They're like, okay, all right, kid, settle down for a second. Got him to calm down. And I mean, you can't blame the guy for being a little bit nervous, right? I mean, he was nerves, and he was probably adrenaline was probably pumping too. He's all jacked up for this game, opening day, 50,000 plus people out there, and he gets to come into a game to face the top of this order with Mookie, Shohei, and Freeman. I mean, I'd be a little jacked up myself too. So give him credit though. After falling behind Ohtani, comes back, rebounds, and strikes him out. Good for him. Walks Freeman, bad. Gets Smith to fly out before Muncy singles in a run. Ends up striking out Hernandez on some high heat to end the inning. But nerves, clearly an issue. But you definitely saw all the potential that we got to see from him during the spring. So I got no complaints for Riley O'Brien. I'm going to assume he'll be more at ease the next time he gets out there on the mound and into a game. So I'm not worried about him whatsoever. And then Matthew Liberatore also gets into the game, gives up 1 hit, but no runs, no walks, gets a strikeout. Good for him. So not a great day by any means from the bullpen where it's just boom, 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 knocking them down, but it wasn't awful either. It's a tough environment. It's a great lineup. So you can't really falter Palante and O'Brien for giving up 1 run apiece. Just a tough day all around against a tough opponent really is what happened today with the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals player of the game. We're going to hand that off to one Paul Goldschmidt. He looked great, 3 for 4 with the solo home run. You love to see it in his possibly final year in a Cardinals uniform. This is the last year of his contract, unless they get to an extension or something, which seems like a very Cardinal thing to do, especially if he has a nice bounce back season. Even if he does what he did last year, I bet you they try to extend him. It's not like he sucked last year or something. But 3 for 4 solo home run, player of the game for the Cardinals, Paul Goldschmidt. Dodgers player of the game. We're going to give that to Tyler Glasnow. The dude was straight filthy today. Nothing you can do about that. Not sure there is actually a lineup in baseball that would have done much against Tyler Glasnow today. So we can, make fun of the Cardinals for being 0 for 27 outside of Paul Goldschmidt all we want. But Tyler Glasnow is very, very good. He gets hurt a lot. That's the only issue anybody has ever had with Tyler Glasnow. He was really good today. He was on his game, A game from Tyler. So he's my Dodgers player of the game. And something I want to do what I'm calling the Bozo play of the game. Sometimes this could be a person. Sometimes it's going to be a play. More times than not, it's going to be a play. At first, I was going to go with the call to bring the infield in during that Freddie Freeman at bat in the first inning. I was kind of like, what? There was one out, runner on third, because Shohei had hit the double and then thought that he was going to go to third. That's how they got the first down. And then Freeman hits one up the middle, and it just kind of makes its way through. And I'm not totally sure that even if the infield was back the way it normally would at normal depth, whether they would have got it or not. But it felt like it kind of cost them an out there. And bringing the infield in the first inning, I thought was a little too aggressive at the time, but in the end, it didn't really matter. So instead, I am going to pick a different play, and instead I'm going to pick on the home plate umpire for a second here. Third inning, Mookie Betts had just homered to give the Dodgers that 3-0 lead, and with Shohei up, 3-1 count, Miles Mikolas throws an absolute dot of a changeup on the outside corner, and it was called the ball. And you could see Miles Mikolas' face, and he's like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? You call that a ball? Like Shohei Ohtani needs any extra help out there? I'm going to bring up a picture of it because I took a screenshot of it. I hope I still have it up here. Should be here. But I'm going to bring it up on YouTube here in just a second. But it was just, in a situation where things aren't going great anyway for the Cardinals, and Mikolas is having a tough time with this part of the order, and to not get that call, like, if he had any steam left in his sails, that kind of took it out because it was a strike. It was blatantly a strike, and he's fighting to try to get through this inning and get through these three guys without any more issues. All right, we're almost here with the picture. I got to save it and upload it here. All right, let's get it here. This should work. Should have had this prepared for you. I apologize, but I was all worked up about the getting this whole thing set up. All right, here we go. We're going to bring it up on the screen here. All right, you can see it on YouTube. There you go. All right, see that one right there? See that one that says pitch number 5 in green on the corner? Clearly a strike. Yeah, that was called the ball. So Ohtani walks, and then the next pitch is the hanger to Freeman, which gets hit over the boards and makes it 5-0. So that's my bozo call for sure. But for the most part, home plate umpire Alan Porter was pretty good today, but he definitely missed that one. And that one stung a little bit. Doesn't mean that Shohei wasn't going to tee off on the next pitch either if he got another one. But for him to walk in that situation and in front of Freeman, that one didn't work out so well for Mikolas and the Cardinals. So there you go. My bozo play of the game. So the Cardinals aren't going to go 162-0. If you bet on that, I'm sorry, you've lost. But long season ahead. But I will tell you this, they have now lost their last 6 games in LA, dating back to 2022. This courtesy of Rob Rains. He does all these cool stats. They've now been outscored 31-10 in those games. So hopefully they can break that trend tomorrow night. It'll be a battle of younger pitchers when 26-year-old Zach Thompson takes the hill against 24-year-old flamethrower Bobby Miller. The game will be televised exclusively on Apple TV. I know that's going to frustrate some people. You're not going to be happy about that. Radio broadcast will be available on KMOX Radio and the Cardinals Radio Network. First pitch 9:10 St. Louis time. It's going to be a late one out there on the West Coast. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, do me a solid. Give us a follow on Twitter, X at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. And I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.